in lesson 109. This is the second chapter that we started yesterday, and we've been talking about one God. There was a contest going on, right, with Elijah and King Ahab. And yesterday we read, did Ahab's God send fire on the altar? No, he did not. And remember, Elijah was mocking them and saying, maybe your God is sleeping. Maybe your God went on a trip or something. And let's read to find out today to see if Elijah's going to have a turn and see if Ahab is going to learn who is the one true God. Go ahead and read this page out loud to find out if Elijah had his turn. Okay, does Ahab allow Elijah to have his turn? Yeah, all the people are there to see this contest. So Ahab has to let Elijah have his turn. Why is Ahab pacing back and forth? Yeah, he doesn't know what to do. There is nothing he can do to get his God to send down fire because his God is not the true God. So as hard as he tries to make this happen, he just can't. Do you think Ahab wants to give Elijah his turn? I don't think so either, because he does not want Elijah to win this contest. How many stones does Elijah use to make his altar? Yeah, he used 12 stones. 12 in the Bible is a really important number. We have the 12 tribes of Israel, 12 is a very important number, so Elijah maybe chose one stone for each tribe to build his altar. Why do you think Elijah digs a trench around the altar? Isn't that interesting? So this trench he digs around, and he's going to put this here, and we're going to read to find out what he's going to do with this trench. Really interesting. Let's read this page together. One God. Ahab paced back and forth. There was not one thing he could do. Elijah had to be given his turn. Elijah took 12 very big stones. He set them in a place to make an altar, and then he dug a trench around the altar. Let's read this page together. Fill 4 barrels with water. Put the water on the altar, Elijah said to the people. They obeyed Elijah. Do it again, Elijah said. They did it again. Do it a third time, Elijah ordered. They did it a third time, and by this time the ground was muddy. Water filled the trench around the altar. Why in the world, if Elijah's wanting there to be fire here, why would he make everything wet? Isn't this interesting? I know when we've gone camping before and maybe there's been rain and the wood got wet wood, wet things, it's very hard to light, right? To make the fire come. It's like he's making it more difficult. Is anything too difficult or too hard for God? No. Do you think Elijah wants to show God's power here? I do too. Let's see what's going to happen. So it says here that water filled the trench around the altar. Elijah did not jump and race in front of the altar. Elijah bowed and prayed to his God. Lord, you are the true God, he prayed. You can do anything. Please show these people that you are God. So what did Elijah do here? He told the people to have how many barrels of water? 4 barrels of water. And they kept pouring it on and on. How many times did Elijah tell the people to pour it? 3 times. Very good. How many barrels of water do the people pour over the altar in all? 12. Very good. What happens to the ground around the altar? It became muddy, filled up with water. Why had Elijah dug the trench around the altar? Yeah, he put to hold the water. He put water there. What does Elijah do instead of jumping and racing in front of the altar? That's right. He bows and he prays to his Lord. In his prayer, what did Elijah say about God? Frame it. That's right. That he knows that he is the one true God. You are the true God. Elijah knows. And he asked, what does Elijah ask God to do? Yeah, it says show. Please show these people that you are God. Goodness, turn the page. Oh, this gets exciting. Read this out loud to find out what happens when God sends fire on the altar. What does the fire burn? That's right, the offering, the stones, the wood. What happens to the water in the trench? Yeah, it said the fire licks it up. What does the fire do to the people who are standing too close to the altar? Yeah, it's so hot, it scorches their garments. Does a fire burn very well when water is there? No, water is used to put fire out. Yeah. How is God's fire different from a campfire that maybe we would make? Yeah, God's fire, it burned up the wet stones and it licks up the water. A campfire that we make, it cannot do these things. This is the power of God. What do the people do when they see the fire on the altar? That's right, they fall on their faces, it said. Why do the people fall on their faces? Yes, they realize that Elijah's God is the one true God. Very good. Let's read this page together. Then the fire of the Lord fell. It burned up the offering. It licked up the water in the trench. It burned up the 12 stones and the wood. It scorched the garments of those who stood too close to the altar. The people fell on their faces. The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God, they said. Now they too could see that Elijah's God was the one true God. And we can see here, thou shalt have none other gods before me. Deuteronomy 5:7. We can see that in God's word. What a wonderful story for us to read together this week. So we have Ahab and Elijah, and today they want us to use our crayons, brown and orange. It says, color the stones brown to tell what Elijah did. So brown I will use for Elijah. And it said to use an orange to tell the things that Ahab did. So I'll do this first kind of row of the stones with you, and then I'll let you finish coloring and answering the questions today. But let's review what we talked about. This one says, had God with him. So who had God with him? Yes, Elijah. He had God with him. I'm just underlining for now. You will color all of this in, but you can just underline with me as we're reading over these. Elijah had God with him. I want to say too that you always have God with you, right? He is with you. He is for you. Made an altar to Baal. Who made an altar up to Baal? Ahab did, didn't he? So we would color that stone brown. Who obeyed the true God? Who obeyed the one true God? Yeah, Elijah did. Elijah obeyed the one true God. So you will read over these. You can go back and revisit your story if you need to. And you will color the stones that told what Elijah did with brown, and orange what Ahab did. Ahab and his men did. And then it says to draw and color the fire of the Lord. So here you can draw and color what the fire of the Lord looked like. On the back side today, we're talking about today and long ago. And the story that we read about today was making the altar and making the sacrifices. We don't do those things anymore in our time. So we're talking about today and long ago. Just for fun, you can use a green crayon to circle the objects that maybe you would see at church now. And then a brown crayon to show things that maybe would be seen long ago. Okay? And then God helped long ago. Here we can see the altar here of the sacrifice. And then God helps today. Draw a picture of something that God does to help today. So God in this story, He helped. He showed that He was God. Show a picture today of how God helps us today. And there are so many things God does to help us today. You'll upload a picture of your completed work.